as well as speculation about the baby's sex, the other thing that's got everyone guessing is who will be there when Kate and William welcome their new arrival into the world.
Well, according to reports, in addition to William, Kate is said to have also maybe asked her mum to be by her side. Is three a crowd when it comes to the delivery room?
Well, journalist and mum of one, Catherine Knight, says yes, it should be a cherished moment for a woman and her partner to experience alone.
But birth coach and mother of two, Lynnea Shrief, says no. She believes the husband and mother offer two separately but equally invaluable roles, and they join us now. Obviously, now this is, we said at the beginning of the programme, this is speculation by one paper. We have absolutely no idea who the Duchess of Cambridge is going to invite into the delivery room. We don't know what their plans are, but it did give us the idea of maybe chatting about this subject.
Because I think a lot of people go ask this question themselves.
Yes. Now you're, Catherine, a very proud mum of 7-week-old Constance.
That's
well
right.
done.
So well done,
right.
congratulations.
Out the house.
You're amazing. You're here. Who was in the delivery room?
So just my husband, and it was a big surprise to me actually, because I always assumed my mum would be along for the ride all the way through the pregnancy. In fact, we're really close. She's a fabulous mum, and I wanted her there. And it's only towards the end towards the end of the pregnancy that my husband suggested perhaps that it might be nicer if it was just the two of us, and I opposed him robustly at first, I must say.
Did you?
I did. I was,
Why?
I think because I thought I was going to be scared. I must say at this point I was having a cesarean, but I was very scared about that, and that I'd want her there, I'd want her support. But as the days went by in the run-up to the birth, I realised that actually it wasn't much for him to ask, and that, in fact, having it just the three of us would make it a more special experience. And I was proved right, actually.
And that's what I was going to ask you. So
Yeah.
when that magical moment arrived and you
Yeah.
were holding your daughter in your arms, did it feel better that it was just the two of you there?
Yes, it did. It really felt like it was this wonderful little bubble, actually, of father, mum, and the new baby. It was our new family that we created, and the fact that it was just us alone in that bubble made it all the more special.
And you think the more the merrier?
I don't know if you should invite your whole town to your birth experience, but I think it's a mother should feel surrounded by other women in birth that she trusts and appreciates, and maybe not her auntie and all of her sisters and cousins, but perhaps choosing one or two female birth partners
So
and
then
actually asking.
that moment all becomes about the girls. Then it's girl power, and the poor husband is standing there, and he's once again, he's outnumbered even in the delivery room.
I think there's a lot of men that simply can't connect with the birth experience, and I think in our Western culture we just assume that men understand and want to be in the birth room, and a lot of men don't, and I think we don't appreciate that situation enough to actually ask, do you actually want to be in the room? And clearly in your situation your husband wanted to be there, and that's something that you wanted as well.
I wouldn't
So
have
that
missed it
was
for the world.
exactly, and I think a lot of Western dads wouldn't, but if you ask all of Africa, India, Russia, for example, they do not birth with their husbands. They give birth with other women,
But
birth
different
supporters.
cultures do different things, and
Absolutely, yeah.
we are here, and this is
absolutely.
the way we do
I'm
it.
not saying that it has to be either or. I just think that if a mother wants to have a female birth companion with her, then that's a wonderful thing.
When I had
to offer
Harry,
something special.
when I had Harry, it was just Dan and I together. And then when I had Belle, my mum was there throughout the whole of the labour, and then just sort of towards the end, she went out, and so we could have that time together, and that was quite nice because it was nice that she was there and she sort of was looking after me as much as Dan was as well. So I've had it sort of both ways, but I have to say those moments when baby first comes, and it's like a magical time when the baby sort of really opens its eyes and looks around, and it's lovely. It's very bonding.
Yeah.
And do you think that, say, if the grandmother's there, that it might affect that bond?
Well, that's the exact thing that a birthing support person like a doula or the mum doesn't have to stay during that time. We do often leave, and we leave the family to have that bonding moment. My mum left the room, and she went into the kitchen and had a cup of tea, and we were able to have that bonding moment. The midwife's still in the room as well, and there's still a lot of other stuff going on. And I'm assuming you didn't have that time until you were moved to the recession.
We had a little time together because obviously on a cesarean they present you with the baby while it's still kind of working at the business end.
Right.
So we did have a little moment as a family. I think it's really important to say as well, a lot of men feel quite marginalised, I think, sometimes throughout women's pregnancies and thereafter in the first few weeks when the baby's born. There's not often a great deal they can do, and I think if you add into that them feeling potentially slightly excluded in the delivery, because it's kind of being presented as a female-only experience. And
You'd
that's
have to have a very diplomatic, understanding mother-in-law or sister-in-law or friend who didn't actually feel that I'm here for this incredible moment, and here I am, and here we are cheerleading. We're all girls together, and the guy's thinking, "This is my mother-in-law."
This is it. I think
beginning.
if you invite someone into your birth space, it should be someone who respects and honors that space. And if you wouldn't invite your mother or your mother-in-law, your sister, into that space unless you really truly thought that they were going to respect that time.
Then? How do you tell your mother that you don't want them there? I mean, what about if you have that pressure, but they just assume they're going to be there? How do you go about doing that? Does that become an awkward conversation?
I was lucky in that, obviously, I'd said to my mum, "You've booked your train ticket, you're coming down the day before," and then I had to effectively uninvite her. My mum's so cool, she completely got it. In fact, she'd said from the beginning, when I said to her I wanted her there, she had said, "Don't you think perhaps this should be about you and Duncan?" I could see it'd be a difficult conversation if you were laying down the rules, but I think there are 2 times in your life when you get to say, "This is how I want to play it." One, when you get married, if you're paying for your own wedding, and 2, when you give birth. And I think those 2 occasions, you get to say, "This is about me and this is what I want." And anyone, whether it's your mum or your mother-in-law not playing along, they're the ones I think that can be accused of insensitivity at that point.
What about your daughter when Constance is giving birth? Will you expect to be there?
Obviously, she's never going to have a boyfriend, so it's not going to happen. But I'd be the world's biggest hypocrite if I expected to. Although, of course, mums tend to say, "Do as I say, not as I do," don't they?
Yeah.
So you would hope to be there?
I don't think so, actually. No, because how can I, after my experience? I would want her to have the same experience as me.
I was more concerned that my mum she'd worry for me too much as well. And I didn't really want to worry for her, worrying about me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. How would you feel if your child turned around and said,
Oh, I'd probably cry a lot. My mom was at both of my kids' births, and I loved having her there, and she got me over that hurdle when I thought, "Oh my God, I can't do this anymore." And she, whereas my husband would have been like, "Oh, gas and air, epidural, give her the lot, to make the pain stop." But my mom, was right there. "Yes, you can." She got me over that hurdle, and
yes, it hurt me, so it can hurt you. Is that what you're saying?
And I think, with my work, I think, because I do work with women in birth, and I am a doula, I'd be devastated if my daughter didn't want me there, but she already said she does, so she better not change her mind.
Well, it's a fascinating topic of conversation. Thank you very much for starting off our talk today. Of course, you'll continue it, and Stephen's in the hub with your comments.
Thank you, Phil. Here's 3 crowd in the delivery room. You've heard the debate there. Louise has emailed. She said, "I think mothers should be allowed at the birth if it's what the couple want. But personally, after my own experience, I think it's a very intimate moment between a man and wife and should be kept only between them." Also, Brenna Laffin says, "I think it's a great idea to invite the family. You can talk about the happy memories." Also, Alexander says, "I had my mum present for my first baby, but thought I'd be okay with my second. I ended up screaming and crying for her." And Evie Timms, "What about this? My mum has already told me if I ever give birth that she is going to leave the country." How charming. She has a very low pain threshold, apparently.